Cameron Diaz was thrown into the spotlight at the age of 16. At 5 foot 9 inches tall, she was already working as a fashion model, and within 2 years she'd graced the covers of 17 magazines. In 1994, the 22-year-old of Cuban, Cherokee and German descent auditioned for a part in The Mask with Jim Carrey and wound up as the female lead. She proved she was no flash in the pan by starring in 10 films over the space of the next 4 years, including My Best Friend's Wedding and the Farrelly Brothers smash There's Something About Mary. She also starred alongside Ewan McGregor in the offbeat romantic comedy A Life Less Ordinary, about a bored and pampered rich girl who falls in love with her kidnapper. She was thrilled to be working with the writing-directing team of John Hodge and Danny Boyle of Trainspotting and Shallow Grave fame.
Well, maybe mainstream's moving more towards cult. Maybe people are like looking for something new, you know, like give me something different, you know. So I think maybe these guys have it coming along just in the nick of time for everyone, you know.
She ventured even further from the mainstream with the 1999 Charlie Kaufman dramedy Being John Malkovich, in which she played the pet-obsessed wife of an unemployed puppeteer who finds work on the 7th and a half floor of a low-ceilinged office building in New York. That was just the start of the wacky ride that also involved plunging through holes in walls to experience the inner workings of John Malkovich's mind.
I'd never been pulled through John Malkovich's subconscious tube, which happens to be slimy and muddy, by a harness, sucked into it. And I'd never spent 2 weeks on a set that was 4'7", and so for me, I think for everyone except for the grips and the electricians who were carrying heavy equipment through it, it was a lot of fun.
In the year 2000, Cameron became the second woman ever to receive a $20 million salary for her role in the chick-kicking blockbuster Charlie's Angels. Alongside Drew Barrymore and Lucy Liu, she proved that girls can be goofy and sexy all at the same time. Having broken her nose several times from falling off surfboards and wardrobes, she was ready to take a few knocks.
Lucy stepped on a push off my hand. She missed my hand and when it punctured my thigh, basically, with her heel. And I had a big, huge welt all the way down my leg, which was kind of nice.
Second time around in Charlie's Angels Full Throttle, Cameron not only took on a skimpy white bikini, she was happy to go toe-to-toe with comeback queen Demi Moore. But there was also a serious point behind all the slapstick humor and physical fun.
No, actually, I always thought of it as that actually we're just sort of holding up a mirror to the women of today, I think. I really believe that. I know a lot of women, such as the Angels, and I believe that, we're kind of just letting women see where they're at the present time in this history.
And as she, Drew and Lucy traipsed around the world promoting Full Throttle, it was obvious that they'd become as tight a trio off-screen as on.
What I remember are sort of the offset moments of, sitting around, sometimes when they had to set up the wire work or the cameras specifically, just having sort of almost a separate relationship from work and from family. And what I mean by that is that we would sort of sit in each other's trailers, which were sort of our own little homes, and hang out, and it's almost like you forgot you were at work.
Their chemistry and box office appeal begged the obvious question. Would there be a Charlie's Angels 3?
I think that people would love to see another film, that's really flattering and makes us feel like we did something right, and we have a really good time doing it. So we haven't closed the doors completely, but we also have no idea where we're going from here.
While Cameron's run as Natalie Cook in Charlie's Angels may have been limited to just 2 installments, another of her characters is showing no signs of riding off into the sunset. As the voice of Princess Fiona in the animated franchise Shrek, she knew she was onto a winner after the blockbusting success of the original film in 2001, and was delighted to be involved in Shrek 2 3 years later.
It's such a wonderful, wonderful story that we got to tell, be a part of a wonderful film. It's like, if you have the opportunity to do that again, why wouldn't you do it? I wouldn't, there's no nerves, it's actually excitement, you know? It's exciting.
Not only did it give her a second chance to work with the likes of Mike Myers and Eddie Murphy, Shrek 2 also brought Antonio Banderas into the fold to play the super smooth and sexy Puss in Boots, much to Cameron's delight.
Well, I'm basically a cat myself, so I'm kind of pulled in by Puss in Boots. He swayed me in, he drew me in, he seduced me, shall I say, with those eyes. So, and his humor, of course, and his, you know, boots.
The movie, which follows Shrek and Fiona's visit to Fiona's royal parents, sold a whopping $125 million worth of tickets in its first 5 days of release, and went on to gross $919 million worldwide, making it the highest-grossing film of 2004. 3 years later, Shrek III saw Princess Fiona taking the initiative and launching a rescue mission to save her ogre husband and the future king of Far, Far Away. Going it alone on the red carpet at the film's premiere in Taiwan, she joked about the challenges of playing an ogre princess.
I think that my true beauty comes from within inside.
Well, there you go.
I know it's tough to look at, oh, it's on the outside, but if you really pay attention, you will see that I have something to offer from within.
A few weeks later at the Berlin premiere, she was joined by the rest of the cast, which also included her ex-boyfriend Justin Timberlake. Despite being a veteran of red carpet events, she was still a little apprehensive about the British public's response to the film. She needn't have worried, although some critics suggested that the third installment contained a little more adult humour than the previous two. The film took $125 million in its opening weekend and finished up fourth on the list of highest-grossing films of 2007, behind Spider-Man, Harry Potter and Pirates of the Caribbean, paving the way for Shrek Goes Forth, due for release in 2010. Aside from her regular off-screen gig as the voice of the animated princess, Cameron has also been spending plenty of time in front of the camera, playing a string of equally animated live-action heroines. In 2002, she signed on to play Christina Walters, a woman whose golden rule for dating is to forget about Mr. Right and focus on Mr. Right now, until the man of her dreams suddenly disappears. Described as a romantic comedy without the sugar, Cameron had her own ideas about The Sweetest Thing.
Yeah, I never really looked at it as a romantic comedy so much as I did just a comedy, you know, and I don't particularly call it as like a girl power film.
On set, she found lasting friendship with fellow funny woman Christina Applegate.
But we felt that way when we first met one another. We were just kind of like, okay, let's be friends. You know what I mean? It was just like immediate. So, and she's just a good girl, you know? It's just a good girl and just a good soul and, you know, real. And so to have that and then just to spend like hours upon hours with one another being, you know, making it through this film and just sort of having fun together, you know, it just, you know, we talk to each other all the time, you know? And we don't have to.
And Christina, who spent much of the film cooped up in a car with Cameron, only had the sweetest things to say about her co-star.
She's just very comfortable with herself, you know. She's no apologies. I mean, she is who she is, and she will do anything, and it's wonderful. It's a wonderful spirit to have around. She's fantastic. I mean, you know, she's just so bright. She's so full of light and love, and she's an amazing human being.
There was plenty of warm and fuzzies between Cameron and her female co-star in the 2004 comedy In Her Shoes. At the London premiere, she and Toni Collette were finishing each other's sentences.
We share a lot of the same sort of temperament and, you know,
ideals, priorities, yeah. Approach to work.
Mm-hmm. So we kind of move through the world similarly. So it's kind of easy.
We're both born in 1972, have the same cultural references, lived with brightly fluorescent shoes life. Spiked hair. Curled hair.
Too much gel.
Too much gel.
Cast as polar opposite sisters in the film, who have little more in common than their size 8.5 feet, they embark on an emotional journey of healing, aided by their long-lost grandmother, played by Shirley MacLaine. At the film's Canadian premiere in Toronto, the Oscar-winning veterans spoke of the pressures facing Hollywood's biggest young stars.
I learned what it must be like to live with constant scrutiny, namely Cameron and the paparazzi. Oh my God, that was, I mean, she would come in every day and talk about how hard it was to get to work. These kids have a dimension to their lives that I never experienced, and that's really tough.
Cameron claimed, however, that despite her well-known antipathy towards the paparazzi, she was well equipped to deal with life at the top.
Well, I think I'm really lucky because I have a really great family. I'm really grounded with my family and my friends, and I was fortunate enough to have that upbringing and be given a lot of confidence as a child. And so I think you just being grounded is important. Money and fame doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't make you happy. You know, you have to be happy within yourself, and that's where you get your true power, I think.
Having hit her 30s, Cameron decided it was time to limit her annual output to just one film a year. Other than that, there was no fixed game plan.
Well, I don't have an actual checklist for films, because that's something that I've never really been able to, like, it's all about timing for me with scripts, and it's whatever sort of shows up at the time that I'm sort of, whatever grabs me and I can engage.
What grabbed her next was another romantic comedy, and the chance to get up close and personal with English heartthrob Jude Law in The Holiday. And there was plenty of chemistry between them at the New York premiere. In The Holiday, she and Kate Winslet play bored, disenchanted professionals who agree to swap homes for the holidays. While living the life of luxury in LA, Kate's character Iris gets amorous with a movie composer played by Jack Black, while Cameron's character Amanda battles her commitment-phobic demons and finds romance with a single father called Graham.
What I love about her story is that we get to watch this journey of a woman who, you know, ultimately takes this leap of bravery and allows herself to be open to the possibility of love in a way that she's never done before. And so it does have a huge part for her, just one tear, you know.
At the London premiere, Jude was asked what it was like to kiss Cameron.
We only kissed on a very professional level, so she was professionally brilliant.
Meanwhile, the film's leading lady and self-confessed outdoor sports nut was more interested in the prospect of going skiing.
I hope that I get on the slopes this year. It's a little busy, but I think I'll make it.
However, after working on Shrek the Third the following year, she was ready to get down to some more serious romantic comedy. In What Happens in Vegas, she and Ashton Kutcher wake up after a crazy one-night stand in Las Vegas to discover they're married. All looks set to be resolved with a simple annulment until he wins $3 million with her lucky quarter. A legal bun fight ensues, with the judge ruling they must live together for 6 months before either of them sees any money. While their alter egos may have had their problems playing nicely, Ashton and Cameron couldn't have got along better.
When you get done with a 12-hour day and you can't wait to go back to work tomorrow because you get to see somebody, that's what it's like working with Cameron Diaz. And it's a pleasure, it's an honor, it's a learning experience, and it's everything that you might imagine it to be.
That's code for she's crazy, but I'm trying to make it okay.
Coming just 2 weeks after the devastating death of her father Emilio from pneumonia, she was putting a very brave face on it.
I have an amazing, unbelievable, amazing amount of support. It's overwhelming. I couldn't possibly, it's a lot, and it's unbelievable. So thank you so much. My entire family feels all of the love and support, and I am so grateful and thankful for it. So thank you so much.
Thankfully, by the time the Japanese premiere rolled around 2 months later, she was able to really enjoy herself, as she was reminded of the happy time she spent in Tokyo as a teenager.
When I was 16, I lived here for 3 months when I modeled, and so I thought it would be great to be able to bring my mom to show her where it was that she let her 16-year-old daughter come to by herself. And because she's heard about it for years and years, you know, since I was 16, she's just heard about it. So she finally got to witness what it is that I love so much and have been heavily influenced by.
Although Cameron Diaz is undoubtedly best known for her madcap comedy roles, she's also been stringing together a very credible career as a serious actress. After earning a Golden Globe nomination for her part in the psychological thriller Vanilla Sky in 2001, she signed up to play Leonardo DiCaprio's love interest in Martin Scorsese's violent revenge epic Gangs of New York. At the film's premiere at the Ziegfeld Theatre in New York, Cameron was beside herself.
It's a dream come true, and I'm not just saying that. Honestly, Martin is a master filmmaker, and to be an actor who gets to participate in his, making his epic film, I don't think, is there anything better than that? I don't think so.
The role of alluring pickpocket Jenny Everdeen involves some interesting research.
I worked with they called him the magician, but he was really a pickpocket who made his living for 30 some odd years in Rome as a pickpocket. And so I learned from him a bit of the tricks of the trade.
After that intense experience, it would be another few years before Cameron would venture beyond the boundaries of comedy again. However, in 2007, she took on the task of playing director Richard Kelly's mother in the horror film The Box, about a mysterious stranger who shows up on a couple's doorstep with a wooden box that could bring them great wealth.
It's his homage to his parents. It's a love story, We play his parents in our love story, all the way down to his mother's disfiguration on her foot. I have the same in the film. I have the same disfigurement as she does.
Then in 2009, she jumped at the chance to play another mother, this time to teenage star Abigail Breslin, in the drama My Sister's Keeper, directed by Nick Cassavetes.
I didn't really think twice about whether or not it was a mother role. I didn't worry whether or not it was something that was believable or if that I hadn't played it before. It was just something that I really enjoyed.
Based on the Jodi Picoult bestseller, the film focuses on the drastic decision of Cameron's character to medically engineer a child as a perfect genetic match to help save the life of their older daughter, Kate, who has leukemia. Even though she's not a mother in real life, Cameron couldn't help but be affected by the film's challenging premise.
It does take its toll on you, but that's what we do, and you just I know it's sort of this, it's like how policemen go into a crime scene or a fireman comes out of a fire, it's just sort of what we do emotionally.
And she was amazed at the resilience of Abigail and her teenage co-star, Sofia Vassilieva.
I was amazed at how courageous they were. Sophia shaved her head and her eyebrows at 15. That's a really formidable time when kids really have their identity with their hair. That's who they are. And she just did it. She had hair down to here.
Sophia had nothing but praise for her on-screen mother.
She's a gem. She's precious. She's one of those people that you come by so rarely in life that, meeting them and being able to work with them is a dream, because they're so supportive and so strong and so welcoming, and they fuel you with energy and strength. And to be able to work with Cameron and be a team with her made us all stronger.
There were plenty more compliments flying around when Cameron stepped up to receive a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame the same week.
When I think back on her legacy and how I view it, I'll always remember Sarah Fitzgerald. It's the character she plays in the latest film, It's a remarkable performance. It's a gift for me. It's a gift for the audience. And she's absolutely phenomenal. I'm lucky to be talking about her as an actress, but even luckier to be talking about her as a friend. She's awesome.
For Cameron, it was an incredibly emotional moment that gave her an opportunity to pay tribute to the most influential people in her life.
I would like to dedicate this star to something that may only ever exist once in this world. It's a bond that is so true, so pure, and so powerful. It is the most beautiful, inspiring thing that I have ever witnessed. I dedicate this star to the eternal love that my mom and dad shared. It was what has given me the strength and courage to live this extraordinary life.
Cameron has been quoted as saying, "I'd kiss a frog even if there was no promise of a Prince Charming popping out of it. I love frogs." Clearly she was joking, as one look at her list of former lovers confirms she's got pretty high standards in the looks department. After splitting with Brat Pack hunk Matt Dillon in 1998, she became engaged to the doe-eyed Jared Leto, before hooking up with Britney Spears' ex Justin Timberlake in 2003. In their attempts to keep their private life private, they rarely attended each other's premieres and launches, and developed a reputation for being rather hostile towards the stalking paparazzi. In late 2004, an altercation with a tabloid photographer ended with Cameron and JT snatching the paparazzo's camera. They later defended themselves in US Weekly by claiming they'd been ambushed and were simply acting out of self-defense. The fierce guarding of their relationship continued, with Cameron denying rumors that they were engaged, and then suing a tabloid that claimed she'd cheated on Justin with a married MTV producer. Finally, in late 2006, they were happy to be snapped out together at the launch of Justin's new clothing line in LA. Ironically, however, their relationship was already all but over. Just 3 months later, a joint statement declared that they'd broken up. Even more ironically, they were about to set off on a promotional tour of Shrek the Third that would see them sharing the same red carpet more times than they'd ever been seen together throughout the whole course of their 4-year relationship. But anyone brave enough to bring it up was immediately told to back off.
It's not strange. We're very good friends. I think it's really funny when people ask that question because it says more about them than anything, really.
As they laughed and joked their way through the round of premieres, it was clear that she and JT were still on great terms.
Sorry about that. A pretty lady pokes you and wants to hug you. I'm sorry, you walk away.
Even if Cameron was still a little touchy about the subject.
He's right there. There's no blows being thrown, is there? It's only difficult when people ask about it, because then you go, why are they asking about it?
Their split was immediately followed by rumors that Cameron had then hooked up with champion surf god Kelly Slater. She was also implicated in mind freak magician Chris Angel's divorce. But since then, she's revealed she could be single for years to come. Because it's hard to find love as a celebrity.
I'd never spent 2 weeks on a set that was 4'7", and so for me, I think for everyone except for the grips and the electricians who were carrying heavy equipment through it, it was a lot of fun.
In the year 2000, Cameron became the second woman ever to receive a $20 million salary for her role in the chick-kicking blockbuster Charlie's Angels. Alongside Drew Barrymore and Lucy Liu, she proved that girls can be goofy and sexy all at the same time. Having broken her nose several times from falling off surfboards and wardrobes, she was ready to take a few knocks.
Lucy stepped on a push off my hand. She missed my hand and when it punctured my thigh, basically, with her heel. And I had a big, huge welt all the way down my leg, which was kind of nice.
Second time around in Charlie's Angels Full Throttle, Cameron not only took on a skimpy white bikini, she was happy to go toe-to-toe with comeback queen Demi Moore. But there was also a serious point behind all the slapstick humour and physical fun.
No, actually, I always thought of it as that actually we're just sort of holding up a mirror to the women of today, I think. I really believe that I know a lot of women such as the Angels, and I believe that, you know, we're kind of just letting women see where they're at the present time in this history.
And as she, Drew and Lucy traipsed around the world promoting Full Throttle, it was obvious that they'd become as tight a trio off-screen as on.
What I remember sort of the offset moments of, you know, sitting around sometimes when they had...
In 1994, the 22-year-old of Cuban, Cherokee and German descent auditioned for a part in The Mask with Jim Carrey and wound up as the female lead. She proved she was no flash in the pan by starring in 10 films over the space of the next 4 years, including My Best Friend's Wedding and the Farrelly Brothers smash There's Something About Mary. She also starred alongside Ewan McGregor in the offbeat romantic comedy A Life Less Ordinary, about a bored and pampered rich girl who falls in love with her kidnapper. She was thrilled to be working with the writing-directing team of John Hodge and Danny Boyle of Trainspotting and Shallow Grave fame.
Well, maybe mainstream's moving more towards cult. Maybe people are like looking for something new, you know, like give me something different, you know. So I think maybe these guys have it, coming along just in the nick of time for everyone, you know.
She ventured even further from the mainstream with the 1999 Charlie Kaufman dramedy Being John Malkovich, in which she played the pet-obsessed wife of an unemployed puppeteer who finds work on the 7th and a half floor of a low-ceilinged office building in New York. That was just the start of the wacky ride that also involved plunging through holes in walls to experience the inner workings of John Malkovich's mind.
I'd never been pulled through John Malkovich's subconscious tube, which happens to be slimy and muddy, by a harness, sucked into it, and I'd never.
Cameron Diaz was thrown into the spotlight at the age of 16. At 5 foot 9 inches tall, she was already working as a fashion model, and within 2 years she'd graced the covers of 17 magazines. In